Hello, welcome back to Billy Ho Sports. Special show for you today on a slow week, waiting on past performances to come out and entries for this week's racing. But we are less than 2 months away, so I think it's a really good time to go out and throw a preview for this year's Breeders' Cup Classic together. Held obviously at Del Mar. It's going to be October 31st, November 1st, Halloween weekend, lots of tricks, lots of treats. So this year's field looks as strong as it's been in years. I've got 15 contenders I'm going to cover today. And at the end of the video, we're going to rank them and we're going to ultimately have a top 10 list. So it's going to be 5 of them eliminated. And then we'll go on with that. Plenty of great content coming this week. Obviously, Churchill Downs opens up Thursday. So September 11th. That's going to be a good evening racing for Thursday night. Might be a little chilly. It's actually cooling off into that fall weather already. So we'll see how the weather plays out this week. But anyway, we also have a very big day at Woodbine. Speaking of Breeders' Cup Classic, the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series has 3 big races on that card. So we'll definitely be taking a look at that very, very soon. So, weekly split the pot contest. We'll draw it on Thursday. If you want to get into the contest, or if you're not familiar with the contest, check the description for the details on how it works. Basically, I draw a winner from the commenters on all my videos for the week, and we get a $20 free bet on me. Then we split the pot if we win the race, and then we bounce ideas back and forth, whatever you're comfortable with doing. So in the comments, just tell me which horse you're rooting for, which team you're on. I don't know if you're team sovereignty, if you're team journalism. I know that was the whole Derby Trail thing, but we also have those older horses to look at. So we're going to cover them. Breeders' Cup Classic going 10 furlongs for 3 years older, 3 years and up. So Del Mar last year held it, holding it again this year. I don't know how they got 2 years in a row. Not sure how that worked out for them. But anyway, oh, FYI, the new Belmont is hosting 2026 Breeders' Cup. So that ought to be fun. So now we are going to start, and this is no particular order. They're just random, but we're going to start with Fierceness, who's our most recent big winner at Del Mar, at the distance. So he left Saratoga licking his wounds, obviously, from a pair of bad outings. Really looked flat in the Whitney. But anyway, I did pick him to win the Pacific Classic. I thought the one post was a good inside draw, and especially after Nysos scratched out, I thought he'd appreciate the dry Del Mar dirt, and he delivered. Now, it was a near catastrophic start, but after I rewatched the race, he starts okay, and then for some reason he just starts running toward the other way like he's in Europe or something, and he's going to start cutting around the left-hand turn. But then he realizes that's wrong, and he peels out, and he does this little sideways peel out, and then he just takes off and straightens out. But he recovered well. He moved to inside position, saved a little ground, and just the only journalism to beat. He made a huge mid-race move that I think Johnny V caught Rispoli off guard. I think Rispoli was just kind of sitting behind Fierceness, waiting for him to go, and then he figured he'd run him down just like everybody else. But he wasn't able to get there because I think Fierceness got a little bit of a jump start on him, and plus he didn't make up a lick of ground down the stretch, so he wasn't running down Gosker this time around. So anyway, you watch that stretch drive because he's not Gosker. Dude can flat jam, held off the late charge from the 3-year-old quite easily, in my opinion. The ultimate question is, can he go the distance versus this particular field? Because he doesn't have just 1 or 2 horses to beat. He's going to have like 7. And including this one, maybe. Number 4, not number 4, Nysos is looking for the big win, obviously to vault him into the BC Classic. He's lit it up in most every race. His only defeat came in that Churchill Downs Stakes, where he lost a very tough one to Mindframe. But he won the Triple Bend and the San Diego. He came up with a bruise on his left rear hind hoof, and that's why Baffert scratched him out of the Pacific Classic. So not a big deal, minor injury. He's now going to point to the Grade 1 Goodwood Stakes at Santa Anita on September 27th. That's formerly the Awesome Again Stakes. It is a Breeders' Cup win and you're in. So that's where he's going to try to punch his ticket. Likely going to have a couple of other Bafferts to help him out, and probably another short-fielded race. We'll see what happens. But next up, we're going to talk about the journalisms. And yes, journalism, credit to him. He stepped up versus older and beat all of them but fierceness. But the rest of those horses were pretty much hot garbage anyway. So Rispoli deploys the same game plan, but unable to make up the ground, like I mentioned before. He feels like a bit of a longer shot. If you're on team journalism, I think you get double. Well, I don't know about double digits. He's going to get a lot of play. He's a West Coast homie, so he's going to get that West Coast love. So I won't go so far as to say double digits, but you might get 6, 7 to 1 on him. So he feels like a little bit longer shot of a value play because he's going to run versus horses like Sierra Leone, even Forever Young, who's probably going to make a comeback. It's a murderer's row of tough competition. I mean, if he'd have run in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic, it'd have been probably him right there with Fierceness and Sierra Leone, but them's the breaks. So now we get to the King, Sovereignty, the king of the 3-year-old division, that is, ripped through New York, closing that season down with an impressive Travers win margin, making him 3 for 3 at the Spa. The major question is going to be, can he make that late close on the speed favoring Del Mar track? Is he going to need a pace setup? He hasn't really needed one as of yet. Sierra Leone did it last year, albeit it was a weaker field. He did get the pace required to get there, but he made a really good early move to get him at the top of the stretch right on the leaders. So that's what he needs to do. I think that Sovereignty can be as forwardly placed as he wants to be, honestly, and he should be able to get that mile and a quarter relatively easily down the stretch. He's going to be live. And so, speaking of Sierra Leone, just when you think you have a fix on that dude, something bad happens. He's either lugging in and fighting with horses, or he's just running over jockeys, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh gosh, he's a character for sure. But I'm willing to give him a small pass on that Jockey Club Gold Cup. The break was marred by an overly aggressive early move by Kendrick Carmouche aboard Philly's Fog, and that's who gets all the blame. You could say that what's his name overreacted on the rabbit, contrary thinking, and ran into White Abario that caused the chain reaction that caused White Abario to go into Mindframe, which forced Irad Ortiz off the horse, and we all know the story. I give some credit for I give credit to Flavian Pratt for one. I think he did do a good job of avoiding him, and for two, falling back early and still trying to get him engaged and mounted a good rally, just a length and a half short, just coming from that far back. But I'll have some more comments on that when we get to another horse in a minute. But this is what you need to know narrative wise. It's been 2001 tis now is the last time a horse won back-to-back Breeders' Cup Classics. Been since the turn of the century. So they got that going against them. Now, Mindframe, talk about bad luck. Rapoli has had his share, more than enough tough breaks in his career with Forte and the horse got scratched out earlier this year of the Derby, and it's just been really really rough going for him in a lot of these. And of course, he's the one that gets loses the jockey in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. He was feeling high on the hog after the Pacific Classic win, licking his chops on his opportunity to get on social media and brag about winning the coast to coast double header. But that wasn't meant to be. Mindframe lost the rider, the DNF, but he's already qualified for the Classic regardless. So he's the win and the Stephen Foster got that done. So he won't need another race. So it will be 4 months between races. So I don't include the JCGC obviously because I mean even though he was out on the track running around by himself, it's still not considered a race. Now Antiquarian, the winner of that JCGC, breaking from post 8, was lucky enough to avoid the chain reaction, and he was able to sit off the pace for the opening mile, made his move on the turn, surged forward to within a length of Philly's Fog. Then he took command and got clear and stayed clear, and he was already clear of Sierra Leone. So he's a 4-year-old who's been in really great form and got his payback from the close in the Suburban where Philly's Fog held him off by just like a head or something like that. It was really close. He's a legit contender, and I think will be an overlay in the Classic. So he's gonna be a horse I'll be eyeballing for some value because I just like the way he stalks the pace and he can run them down and probably getting better and better with each race and gaining big confidence boost. I'd say winning that one. So anyway, now it's Forever Young, And lots of bridesmaid talk for a horse who's won 8 of 11 career starts. Last year's classic, he ran well, but he was pretty gassed down the stretch when I rewatched that race, judging by he was starting to drift out down the stretch, but he was able to keep on trucking for the third place finish. So this year he's looked all right, and he was able to run down the turf specialist Romantic Warrior in the Saudi Cup, doing a little inside out move. He was actually on the inside rail, and then he skipped outside to the three path and was able to ultimately pass his rival, which was pretty good win. But then he was beaten by a 40-1 hit show. Bad look for a 1-2 heavy favorite in the Dubai World Cup. So jockey Ryu Sakai, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Couldn't get him going down the stretch. He gets that rocking motion going where he's pounding him and rocking him, and you can see him pick up the pace. But he just didn't get going till a little too late there. So I look for him to show up and run his race. Probably a good candidate to hit the board again, but he's facing a lot tougher competition, and this will be just his third race ever in America. So that's going to affect his top 10 status as far as that goes. So now we get to a couple of turf monsters. The Ombudsman, that's John and Thaddy Gosden, trained turf specialist, who might give the Classic a go. He won his only race on all weather at Kempton Park about a year ago, which was pretty solid. But in the Juddamont International Stakes, he ran down a rabbit by the name of Burr Castle, who got loose by 20 lengths and trying to hold on down the stretch. And the acceleration he showed once he caught up to him, he just kind of grinded him down, and then once he caught him, he like punched it into third gear and just blew right by him, and 3.5 clear of his rival Delacroix, who was the second choice in odds, and another turf runner that we'll talk about right now, considering the move as well. Delacroix is actually trained by Aiden O'Brien. He's just 3 years old, so he does have a win over the aforementioned Ombudsman two back in the Sandown Park Grade One Coral Eclipse, where he actually got the better of that rival in the end. So you can see the hype coming for a young colt after that late rally to nail his older rival at the wire. Obviously, Ombudsman is a 4-year-old, and 3-year-old being Delacroix. So they both of these horses got visions of Breeders' Cup turf in their minds as well. But maybe they set their sights on a Breeders' Cup Classic. I think maybe one of these days they're going to start bringing more turf horses, like the Aiden O'Briens and the Thaddy Gosdens, and as far as those people go, Charlie Appleby's another big time over there coming over, trying to bring horses to compete in the Classic. So it's always good for the game. So now we'll move on to Baeza. Will be an early favorite, I'd say, to win the Grade One Penn Derby later this month, week from Saturday. So mark your calendar, set your notifications, plenty of content. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. Now, nothing if not consistent. Did do battle with Sovereignty in the Jim Dandy, and I give him some street cred for that, but he wasn't good enough to handle the big dog. Now, if he does go out and impressively wins the Penn Derby, he will gain the invite to the Classic. He's going to gain an invite regardless. I think he was ranked 8th as far as votes go last time I checked, and it's the top 14 horses. Obviously, the winning you're in horses. I don't know how many of those are. That takes like half the field, like 7 horses or something of that nature. I'm not really sure. So I think he'll be good enough to make the cut, especially if he wins the Penn Derby. It's not a Breeders' Cup win and you're in race, but he will gain an invite with his excellent stakes record. So Hit Show is the next one. He's got a place among the elite older horses. He just brings his lunch pail to these races, and he's a more of a blue collar type for Brad Cox. Brad Cox has been pretty savvy picking his spots. The 5-year-old Grays racked up several greatest stakes wins over the last year and a half versus lesser, in my opinion. Horses like Skinner, horses like Comorbino Omodai, Extra Año, Cook Creek. He lost to Locked, and you saw how pitiful Lock looked in the last time we saw him run. So he's one that I don't know about as far as he'll have to have a good trip to get there, but he can do it. I mean, that win in Dubai, running on that dry, fast dirt track, if there is a pace meltdown, he's going to be picking up some pieces. Believe that. So now, Highland Falls. This is the one continues to prove to me he can handle this level of competition. He's a versatile front running or stalking type. He can race on or near the lead, or he can sit off the pace. His ability to brake alertly gives him that option. And what happened, he can track the pace. He can sustain. He's got sustained stamina, so he can dictate the terms when he needs to. The last couple races, he's been stalking the pace. Obviously, he squared off hard against Sierra Leone in the Whitney and only gave it up in like maybe the last 50 yards of the race. The 2024 Jockey Club Gold Cup effort, he was right on Arthur Ride's butt, pressing him hard, and he wore him down, left him in the dust. Now, normally he breaks to the lead or close to it out of the gate, but him being on the inside of that fracas, when Irad got spilled in the Jockey Club Gold Cup in 2025 edition, he had to check up hard to miss from running over Irad and everything, and that cost him a lot of ground. So he was coming from further back than even normally. He sits 4 or 5 lengths off the pace, but he was probably 7, 8 early on. But he hit the stretch hard again and got the third place finish. So I thought it was pretty impressive recovery by him. Probably not one you look at and go, he's a Breeders' Cup Classic winner, but he's going to win some races, no doubt. I think maybe the speed favoring Del Mar might be a little bit not to his liking, but he had the middling finish in ninth. I think he's a much more mature, stronger horse this year. He beat Arthur's Ride, but I think he's run right with Sierra Leone and some of the other top dogs in the division now. So that brings us to Gosker. And you can't blame Gosker. He's done a little wrong in his young career. He got a late start, nearly pulled off the huge upset in the Preakness. After that was obviously some banging and messing around going on in that race. But he was nailed at the wire by journalism in that one and the Haskell coming down the stretch too. So journalism basically using Gosker like Sovereignty used him, waiting for him to make his move and then firing right behind him and running by him down the stretch. That shows how much better he is than Gosker, but is that really a great feat? So anyway, he does sit back and wait for him to make his move. Then he goes, knowing he'll get him in the end. So he needs to win the Penn Derby to move him into better contention in my book. So then we come up with Disarm, which definitely a grade one place horse, show horse, or super filler, but mostly just off the board with those fourth place finishes where he seems to land. He did finish third in the Whitney. He looked pretty promising as he closed well. Then he kind of regressed a little bit after that. He feels like a bad fit for Del Mar. I don't know if he has the speed. So maybe he gets run off the track. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't even race. I don't even know if he's going to qualify to run in the race. He might just be an AE at best. So that's your 15, but ultimately we're going to do a top 10. So you can give me your top five, or you can bounce back any of these you disagreed with wholeheartedly. I'm willing to listen to your case. So the first five out, I'm tossing the two turf horses first. Ombudsman and Delacroix. They just, we all thought City of Troy was going to be this major threat in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, and he didn't run a lick. So until a turf runner can prove it to me, you're out. Disarm, next on the chopping block. He's most likely to finish in the middle of the pack. Oaklawn Park's about as far west as he's ever been. So those four are all out. Then you have Baeza. Baeza was the first one out. I'm sure I could get some pushback on him being in the top 10. I just give more credit to other horses for actually winning something. Baeza has run well, but he has not won the major big stakes races. He's just broke his maiden as his only win. So let's round this top 10 out. We're going to start with number 10, and that's going to be Hit Show. Like I said, you got to win something. He comes in ahead of Baeza because he's won races. He's won multiple greatest stakes. He won in Dubai. So, he's a tough customer. Number 9 is Forever Young. Now, one could argue he should be higher. He almost won the Kentucky Derby. He finished third in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But he's built his resume overseas, and this is America, baby. You need more than 2 races, lifetime starts in America to move my needle. So, some of his races are pretty good. He does have some wins in the Middle East and things of that nature, like the Saudi Cup and things like that. But that brings me number 8, Antiquarian. Antiquarian moving up the board. Probably would have been outside the top 10 had he not pulled it off in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But that gives him multiple graded stakes with that Peter Pan he had a couple years ago, plus high finishes and others. So logically, he's in there. Number 7 is Nysos, and he loses a few spots. He would have been probably close to a top 5 or 6 horse without that scratch. Plus the fact he hasn't really beaten the elite yet. He lost that tough one in the Churchill Downs Stakes, going 7 furlongs, and he's won a couple of against lesser company out west. But like I said, scratching out the injury knocks him back a couple of spots. So he's 7. Number 6 is going to be Highland Falls. And I just love the combo of speed and stamina. I think he's improved from last year, so I expect much better than a ninth place finish. That brings me to number 5, journalism. And you can make your case if he needs to be higher, and you could probably talk me into swapping him and Mindframe. I think they both won equally good shares of races, but I've seen Mindframe beat Sierra Leone in the Stephen Foster. He beat Nysos, Bookham Dano, Banishing. He's won multiple graded stakes, obviously. And I just think Mindframe for all those big wins that I've just mentioned, I think I put him just a little bit ahead of journalism, who won the Preakness, but he didn't really beat a monster field in that race. In my opinion, I mean, Gosker and others, Gosker's not even in the top 10. So Mindframe, and I won't penalize him because it's not his fault that he lost his rider in the last race. So 3 is going to be Sierra Leone, and he might have been first or second if he showed more consistency. And I do give him a bit of a pass, and we know he is capable of winning the Classic, but also that narrative with the winning the back to back thing is looming over his head as well. So I don't think he gets it done this year, to be honest with you. But he's going to be, I think, a good candidate to hit the board at least. Now, number 2 is Fierceness, moving on up. So he probably leapfrogged Sierra Leone from 3 to 2. He might have been 4 if Mindframe would have raced and won over the weekend and Fierceness lost. Who knows? But he looked really good in that Del Mar effort. I know he didn't beat anybody except for journalism, but he just looked a lot faster and a lot fitter coming into that race. And I just think he likes the California, the dry air, the dry conditions, the faster track. I think all of that suits his liking. And he's 2 wins and a second in 3 Cali starts. Let's not forget he was the 2-year-old champ out of Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup a few years back. That brings us to number 1, Sovereignty, and you got to dance with who you brought. So he's going to face older horses, and we don't know if he can take them or not. But I just think the way he's looked, the powerful turn of foot, and stronger with each race, we won't find out till November 1st. He's obviously not going to race again, and he's not facing older horses until then. But I like his chances. I think he looks more powerful than Sierra Leone or any of the other closers coming down the stretch. And the problem is he going to get the right trip to get it done? And I think with Junior aboard, I think he can get that trip, and he's going to be the pick to win as of right now. I definitely won't like a short price. Will not be liking an underlay if he's going off at like 2 to 1 or 6 to 5. I think he could be. I think he could be as much as 7 to 2, facing horses like Fierceness, facing horses like Sierra Leone, and others. And obviously, journalism is going to draw that West Coast money like he did last time. He went off as a huge favorite over Fierceness, which I thought was bunk, but I'll take the extra money. Thank you very much. So, so that is your top 10 list, as you can see in the background. This is your preview for your first Breeders' Cup Classic. Tune in for weekly racing content. Obviously, we got Churchill Downs and Woodbine this week, but we're going to start dropping some previews on some of these Breeders' Cup high value races and doing a little contender preview, profiling, things of that nature, give you an idea on who's going to be pointing toward the race, because I'm sure there was a couple in there that you probably didn't know of. So I always like to give that kind of information out. Split the pot draw Thursday. Make sure you're subbed. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out to get your name in the draw. Leave that comment. See you soon.